I haven't made custom figures in a really long time, like a couple of months, I would say, and it's time I change that. Today, I'm going to be making a awesome diorama based around the Maw from Halo CE, with Master Chief fighting through a ton of Flood, and I'm going to be making 5 custom Flood figures. Flood is probably some of my favorite figures to make, so I'm really excited to work on this project. I'm mixing up some green stuff right here, and this is a 2-part epoxy that you can find on Amazon and eBay. And then I'm going to be cutting up some toothpicks in half. I'm going to be using these toothpicks to make the Flood claws and wrapping a little bit of green stuff around the parts that I bent. This just makes it look really Flood-esque and like it actually looks like in the video game, which is super important. Now we're going to be taking all of these parts of the armor on the figures, and I'm going to be breaking them and ripping them off. That's going to be really important, so when I am done adding up all the green stuff for the base layer of the figures, I can add on those parts and pieces, and it makes it look like the biomass is pushing them away. I pre-made a hole for the section where all the little Flood tendrils are going to be coming out, and then I wanted to make my figures all unique and creepy. Some are going to have really crazy heads that are kind of floating off like this Marine does, and then I'm adding in all of those little broken pieces that we made earlier. And then I'm adding more Flood biomass around. Then I'm going to be stabbing in these little tendrils I made off screen. If this video can get 200 likes and 25 shares, I will do whatever the top comment is in the comment section down below for one of my future videos. So let's make sure we smash that like button, guys. It's the first time I've ever really made those little tendrils, so I'm really happy with how they came out. Infected Flood spores, and then I'm adding the claws on the side as well. Then I'm just texturing them. Now we're going to be moving on to the diorama itself. So I'm going to be using dollar store foam core, which you can get at, well, the dollar store, and it's extremely cheap. The whole diorama itself probably only cost me like 50 cents to make in foam material, so it's really awesome using this material, and it's super easy to find. You can find it at Walmart as well. Then I just started cutting everything to size and shaping it how I wanted. I had a really good vision for this project, and I was excited to see if I could bring it to life. This was something that I am trying to practice more and more, envisioning something and then making it actually out of foam or for the dioramas. So I'm super happy that I was able to do that today. Now I'm cutting out a vent section for this piece. This vent section is going to be where the Flood is kind of funneling out of the room. And also this reminds me of Halo CE as well, when the Flood are kind of coming out of the vent tubes, and in Halo 2. So I wanted to kind of add some of those aspects that I loved from the original games. Then I'm using some paper cladding all the way around just to make it look a little bit more detailed in some areas, and other bits of cardboard that are a little bit thicker and thinner. Doing all these little details really add so much to your dioramas, completely worth it to do and take the time. Especially this part. This part took a ton of time just to add all these little paper strips, but it makes it look like bump mapping from Halo CE, which I thought would be perfect for this diorama. It just makes it look so much more Forerunner. Really makes the diorama feel like a Halo diorama. Now we're going to be covering everything in Mod Podge. This is going to really seal it and make it have almost a plasticky feel effect, and it's going to make everything last a lot longer and keep it more protected. Now I need to get a nice painting brush. Then I'm going to be applying on a black coat of paint for the base over the Mod Podge. This is really important, so any areas that you miss is just black, so you could say it's shadows, or, well, it's just not going to really make that much of a difference in the end. And it makes more coat colors that you're putting on just a lot easier to apply. After that's done, we're going to be doing a normal gray, and then we're going to be hitting it with a silver gray later on. This is just going to make it feel super Forerunner, and I wanted it to have that shiny, nice metal look. I thought it would work really well. Some parts that we're going to be adding on later. Back to the Flood figures, I had to add the Flood color. I'm going to be using Citadel paint for all of this, and it was a little bit of a darker color than I'm normally used to doing for the first base coat, but I only had that color, so it had to work. Also, this Marine is getting burrowed into by an infection form, and I love making these. I've gotten really good at making them as well, and I think they look fantastic every single time, and really creepy. Now I'm painting on the red for some of these Flood areas of the tendrils, and then I'm going to be using a light tone wash, and this wash is going to make everything look a little glossy, but also really dirty, which is perfect for Flood. I would highly recommend if you're making flood figures to pick up something like this because it is just such a huge advantage. It really is just amazing. For some of these areas that are kind of spewing out, I wanted to add some red blood, like the Marine has been taken over and his blood squirted out. Pretty disgusting and gross, and that's exactly what I'm going for. Same thing with the elites as well. Make sure it looks awesome, and these flood figures are really starting to come along so fast, and they just look fantastic when you add all these little details. Now I'm going to be adding a little bit of yellowing to the top of those little flood infected pus balls. It's pretty important just to make the discoloring on it look a little different, and it adds a lot. Now I have some extra biomass that I made earlier from some hot glue, and I'm just going to be cutting it off into sections and chunks, and I'm going to be applying that around the Forerunner structure. I feel like this gives a really good infected kind of vibe to it, and like this Forerunner facility has been taken over by the flood, which is exactly what I was really going for. So it had to be done, and I really think it made this whole area look so much more Halo. Then I'm just adding a little bit of different colors around the dry brushing. I'm going to be dry brushing on a darker flood infection color. And then I'm going to be adding some red as well to make it feel almost irritated and like it's growing and itchy. And then I'm going to be adding more just overall color onto the ground and just slathering it all over the place. This is really important just to make the diorama feel like these pieces have been here for a while, and it looks really good on it, especially that nice Forerunner silver that we have down. Added various bits of a little bit of green, and then I'm adding in the vent. So the flood actually bursted through this little vent here, so I had parts of the vent just kind of laying around that got destroyed and broken off of. And I thought this was really important just to be like cool and just a little quirky, and it looked really good. Put my infection form in there, and then I cut out a few little holes and placed some Lego studs for the infection forms to stand on so they don't fall off. Very important if you want them to look good and just stay there for the diorama, and they won't fall off, which is awesome. This diorama was so much fun to work on, and it gave me so much inspiration for things to come in the future. I am going to continue to make awesome projects here, so don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Let me know in the comments down below also what you want to see next, because I'm always down for new ideas. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, evening, or night, and I'll see you all later. Peace.